So these dialogues started with a couple of things. Over the summer, as the racial injustices and killings came to light, the team and I had a few team Zooms to start a dialogue, and they were good, open conversations. And I thought that it's important to engage even more people if we want to see change. So I felt like it's important to be able to talk about systemic racism, even if it challenges people's thoughts in an uncomfortable way. So one of the things I wanted to do was to create spaces where people can build a little bit of a relationship with each other and feel a bit more authentic and vulnerable in their sharing. I also had a few conversations with our men's basketball coach, Larry Anderson, who talked about engaging his alumni. So in August, I invited all the team members, alumni, families, donors, and friends of the MIT Women's Tennis Program, as well as some of the DAPER staff members to engage in some initial conversations about each of our own experiences with race and racism and our thoughts about systemic racism and what kinds of actions we can take in our own spheres of influence.
When Carol first reached out about this opportunity, I thought it was very interesting because I've known and connected with Carol and my other teammates in the context of tennis and as a student athlete at MIT. And I thought this was a very different way of connecting with my teammates because when we were playing together on the team, we didn't really talk about topics like anti-racism. And I thought it was just such a unique opportunity to connect in a different way than we ever have before. And I also thought it was a good opportunity to continue learning from my teammates as well as current players and just further deepen our relationship.
We live in a suburb outside of Minneapolis, but I grew up in the city. And ever since George Floyd was killed by police in Minneapolis at the end of May, our city has been devastated by Mr. Floyd's loss of life. Moreover, it was recorded, as we could see, and it showed a total disregard for human life by 4 police officers in our community. This needs to change, and race was clearly a factor in the way that Mr. Floyd was treated. In addition, Minneapolis, like many other cities, has been experiencing devastation from rioting in neighborhoods, and we need to rebuild our city. And I'm attending these Zoom meetings because I hope to learn, and I want to understand, and I want to do my part to help bring about change.
The initial reason, first of all, I was excited, I guess is the right word, about being on the same call with so many smart, hardworking, amazing people. I know you all live in an MIT, I don't want to call it a bubble, but in an MIT environment. For me, it's actually wonderful to be able to have a conversation with people that are brilliant. And even if just for an hour, I can pretend that I'm one of you guys. I also thought that it was extremely important to get a little bit serious and bounce ideas off of others and hopefully add some value in terms of this issue, which has been around for a very long time, but it seems to be a good time to actually start solving, if there are solutions, which we must find them, start solving these issues.
Going into the August gathering, I think I felt a mix of emotions. I think on one hand, I was nervous just because I would say race isn't a topic I've had a ton of conversations about throughout my life. I don't think I had a ton of those conversations while I was growing up. And I know that they're hard conversations to have. They can be uncomfortable. So on that side, I was nervous, but I was also looking forward to it, just to have the opportunity to practice having these conversations with a community that, like, you could tell from how many people showed up, just like how much people cared about this issue.
So for me, it was the George Floyd incident. It was really, it's something that shouldn't have happened, basically. So it was really eye-opening. And then I saw the MIT Vigil, and I just wanted to be with the people who were expressing such pain and sorrow and anger, and also to support Carol, because it's been fun to see what she's done with MIT's varsity tennis team, and she's doing something new. So for all those reasons.
So I hope to, continue to educate myself, and then try to educate my sphere of influence and also engage in dialogue. So I really like looking at all sides of an issue and not only engaging with people who agree with me, but also engaging with people who disagree with me, and seeing how I can discuss problematic behavior and try to convince people to rethink the way that they think about race.
I've been able to discuss the topic with members of my family. Interestingly, I've spoken with some of my friends, some of whom are alumni, and I've been met with a rather hostile and challenging response. So my next step in my journey is to learn how to deal with this type of resistance, how to respond, how to communicate with people who perhaps don't share the same perspective I do, and help move the needle forward through those discussions and my involvement. Mostly, I think, outside of the student athlete group and outside of the Institute family. I think that's where the biggest challenges and thus the biggest opportunities lie at this point.
I thought the Gen 5 session was super informative and really helpful, and I was sort of nervous before going to it. I didn't really understand the format. I thought maybe it would just be like a lecture, but then she was so engaging and inviting, and I loved how she sort of created this safe space to really ask questions and even answer questions. And I think every time someone brought up a topic, someone brought up affirmative action and how that's controversial, and people end up asking, well, how did this student get this spot? And she brought up how when you compare affirmative action to things like legacy or students getting spots because of donations that they make to a school, those people get way more benefits than the students who get benefits from affirmative action. So I think that she was always able to bring up points and insights to really inform me and make me think and connect ideas that I hadn't before, which is crazy because I feel like it makes sense to compare things like that, and I just hadn't. So I thought that was a really good talk, and I'm really glad I went to it.